Welcome, everybody, to the Kennedy Center and the Wicked Theater Look-In. This Look-In is part of the Education Division's Explore the Arts series and is made possible through the support of the Thomas W. Haas Foundation. And also hello to everyone joining Facebook. My name is Scot Reese, and we are so lucky to have the talented cast, part of the cast of Wicked here, which I saw the show last night. And for those of you who have seen it already, you know what the treat is. For those that will be seeing it, it's amazing. On my right next to me, Isabel Keating, and then we have Jessica Vosk. Oh, and I'm sorry. And Isabel is playing Madame Orrible. And Jessica Vosk, who...
Actually,
I'm
Amanda
sorry.
Jane.
There we go. I got it in the wrong order. There we go. Amanda Jane Cooper, who is playing Glinda, and then Jessica Vosk, who is playing Elphaba, and hopefully that is Andy Mientus at the end playing Bob. There we go. Trying to pronounce the names right instead of that. How many people have seen this show already? Okay. Oh, wow, great. And how many people are going to be seeing it? All right, it's about half and half, right? Good. All right, so you can't spoil any of the secrets, but we'll see how much of it we can get out of them. First of all, since this is so much about origin stories, I'd like to know a little bit about your origin stories, where you came from, how you got into theater, if there were any teachers that really helped you going into this, or if you were just, selling china and then all of a sudden you said, I'm going to go and audition for a show. But why don't we start with you, Isabel, what your origin story is?
Oh boy, I'll try to keep it short because we have four of us. But
yeah, exactly.
Mine is not your usual origin story. It's not that what did you say? I was selling china and then all of a sudden
exactly.
I'm an audition. Mm-hmm. I had been traveling and I lived on and off for many years in Europe. I was interested in languages, which subsequently translated itself into my love of culture. That also made itself available to the stage, but I had come back to my hometown and couldn't find a reason to stay there. And I thought, wow, that looks interesting. And I still didn't consider it my profession, but then I realized that's really where my heart and soul belonged.
Okay.
And subsequently, actually, you and I have somewhat of a commonality here. In the DC area, I ended up coming to DC and auditioned for Arthur Schnitzler's La Ronde at the Studio Theater, which was still very small. It wasn't 4 stages at that point. It was in the hot dog warehouse. And this is well before 14th Street became Madison Avenue.
Anybody remember that old Studio Theater before the Whole Foods? Yeah.
Who did you play?
Well, I was the sweet young thing. Now I think I'd be the. You have to know the play, but thanks, Andy. And then subsequently started taking classes with Joy Zinnemann.
Oh, okay.
And thus began where we are now.
Yeah. Oh, that is incredible. So DC person coming, and you might have just seen, just recently, you were at Arena Stage.
Yes, I just played Birdie in The Little Foxes at Arena Stage. It was wonderful to work there with everyone.
And they're a whole new building.
Yeah.
How much has changed? Yeah. And how about for you?
Hi, guys. I grew up just outside of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. I was a super shy kid, super fearful, but that all changed when I got cast in a 5th grade musical. My music teacher, Mrs. Messner, saw something in me. I was like 10 years old doing this audition. She gave me one of the leads, and all the teachers were like, what are you doing? You can't give that part to her. She doesn't even talk. So theater completely changed my life. It kind of like cracked the shell off of me, and I just loved it so much. I auditioned for several colleges, was kind of at a fork in the road, like, do I want to do this, or do I want to like go, do something else? And ultimately I decided that I wanted to pursue this. I ended up going to Carnegie Mellon University and their conservatory program, and I guess that's the short story of how I got to be here.
No, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. And with a conservatory program, so you got your BFA.
Yes, it was a BFA, yes. And fun fact, that's actually where I met Stephen Schwartz. I think I was like 19. He's an alum of that school as well, so he would come back and do mentorship kind of sessions with us, and so I was really fortunate to meet him, and so I have him to thank for a lot of why I'm here today.
That's great.
Yeah.
Jessica.
Hi, I am
Jessica, and I'm from New Jersey.
What part?
Exit 12 off 78. No.
I'm sure we have some New Jersey people in the audience.
Central Jersey. I grew up there, surprisingly not shy. And so I loved to sing and act as a kid. My dad taught me how to sing. He's a fantastic singer. And we used to sing around the house all the time. Through high school, I did all the high school plays in the community theater, loved it, decided it's what I wanted to do, went to the Hart School of Music at the University of Hartford for a semester.
Did you guys not know this?
No, but that's my husband's alma mater.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Get out.
Yeah, Mark Berman.
Hopefully we'll find more and more about them knowing of each other.
This is for us, too.
Yeah, that's why I take it right.
So I went there. I went there for a semester. Turned out it wasn't for me. While I love all routes of learning, because I believe no matter where you are in your life or career, you should always keep learning and taking class. That's one of my big things. But when I left the Hart School of Music, I was in their BFA program for musical theater. I left and I went to Montclair State University in Jersey, and then I went into finance on Wall Street for 3 years, and worked in New York in Midtown for a boutique investor relations firm. Don't know why I did that, but it did.
It was about paying bills,
You know
I'm
what?
sure.
Right. It was like my mom and dad were like, "You better get a job." So, but it was actually a phenomenal way of learning about business, which also in this business of show, I think you must know a lot about business in general. So it taught me a lot about that. And about 3 years in, I just decided that I had to leave and pursue my passion. I left. I left the job and just sort of said, "Hey, universe, give me a sign." And
Had you been training and singing while
No.
you were working? Wow.
No.
Okay.
I think I put it all to
Yep.
the side because I thought if I'm doing finance, I don't want to see any art.
Okay.
And
So what was the click that happened for you?
it was a lot of stress in that kind of world, which any type of profession, there's a stress that comes along with it. And I think that stress was very high level for me. I had clients all over the world, so it's not, I wasn't sleeping, all that kind of stuff. And I just said, if I don't do what I love, if I don't try to do what I love, screw everybody's opinion.
Yeah.
But let me try. And I was given a job at Carnegie Hall.
Great.
And so I was like, okay, thanks, universe. Maybe this is the right thing to do. I hustled my tail off, and I'm very lucky to be here. Now, that was about 5 years ago.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
great story.
Yeah.
Great. Andy.
Hey, I'm Andy. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I grew up doing theater. I started doing theater in about the 5th grade. I was playing baseball, believe it or not, and my best friend on my team, his sister was in this acting program, and I went with them to paint sets one Saturday and made friends, and I decided that I wanted to hang out with those kids more than the baseball kids, and so then I did little shows and did my school shows as well, your high school or whatever does a musical or two a year, and it was really just my hobby, but it was sort of the only thing I was any good at. I was not a great student, I was not athletic, I was, just basically a mess other than that one thing.
Welcome to the theater.
Yeah. These are the people that come to the theater. But I really just thought of it as a hobby. I was going to go into English. I took Latin in high school and creative writing courses, and I thought I was going to do something with that. And the summer of my junior year, before my senior year, I got accepted to PA Governor's School for the Arts, which no longer exists. Certain states have governor's schools. I don't know if DC has anything like that or wherever you're from, but certain states have these things called governor's schools, which are these government-funded, which is why it no longer exists anymore in Pennsylvania, sadly, schools. There's one for agriculture, one for the sciences, and there was one for the arts, and it was 200 students total across all medias. So there was opera singers and instrumentalists and graphic artists and you name it. And then there was a group of maybe 10 or 20 actors, just classical sort of drama. And we would have class from 9 a.m. to 6 every day, 3 meals a day, room and board, 6 days a week with a mandatory artistic experience at night. So we would have to go to watch the other kids play, you know, a little symphonic set, or like go look at the art that like the visual art kids are making, or whatever. They'd have to come watch our little plays. That was over a summer, and it was completely free, which was amazing. It's so sad that it doesn't exist anymore. And that was the thing that made me say, like, oh, this is actually my art form and not just my hobby, and this is what I want to do. And so I auditioned for some schools. I went to one for 3 years before I dropped out because I got a job, and then I've just been sort of like flying by the seat of my tails. What do they call that? Pants? Yeah, the tails of my cat ever since. And here I am in Wicked.
Good. I'd like to find out what the audition process was like for you guys to get the roles, and how long you've been with the show. Because I know some of you've been with the show a little longer, some a little shorter. So Isabel, what was yours?
So I've never done Wicked. Many people go into Wicked and then come back and do it again. I have a couple of dear friends who've done so. So it's my first experience with Wicked, and I just started 6 weeks ago. And the way that the audition happened, I was doing Little Foxes, as I mentioned, over at Arena, and I got a call right when we were in tech to please put myself on tape. They knew I couldn't come down. And I said, well, I just can't. I don't have time. Because when you're in tech for a play, it's 10 out of 12. So there's no time. No time to prepare the material, no time to put everything on tape. So I passed, and my agent said, oh, no, wait a minute. They have a tape of you from a couple of years ago. And I was like, uh-oh. Because I don't think it was a good audition. But who knew? I don't know. I remembered I had gone in before. So they thought they would use that. So they used that. Come to find out, they said, okay, they used it, and now they want you to put yourself on tape again. So by this time, we were open. And I said, all right, well, I guess I have time now. So I grabbed one of the interns in the office, Jay Fondon. I don't know if you're listening, but you're my Elphaba. He was a wonderful Elphaba. He gave me his Elphaba. Anyway, so I put myself on tape, and I just, sent it off like you do, and just forgot about it, and went back to being Birdie and the Hubbard family. Yeah. Mark Helgenberger, I could say, see you in Chicago, babe. Anyway, so then, long story short, I got the call that they had looked at it, and Joe Mantello had said, yes, please bring her in to meet with Lisa, the assistant director. It was a holiday on the Monday, but could you come on Tuesday? Absolutely. Went on Tuesday as long as I could get out by 1, because I had to be back by half hour. So I did, and then subsequently found out I got the role, and I was so excited because I love Madame Morrible and these people. I'm so excited.
Fabulous part.
Love doing it. So.
Amanda.
Oh my goodness. Can I just say we are so blessed to have you, because you completely elevate everyone.
God,
this woman is amazing. She's a legend.
Likewise.
She's a treasure. So like I said, when I was like 19, I met Stephen Schwartz, and he said something to me like, I think you could play Glinda one day, which of course I wanted to die when he said that. I was like, oh my gosh. And he mentioned, as you're graduating, make sure you send your stuff to Telsey, which is the casting agency. So I was such a nerd. I think I wrote this cover letter and printed it on pink paper. I was like, hello, I met Stephen Schwartz, he told me to send this to you. And I legit drew on the envelope sparkles, hearts, and all these Glindified things. Maybe that'll give me a better chance.
Are you sure this wasn't Legally Blonde?
Right, no, it's very similar. But anyway, I was I actually auditioned for the show before I graduated from college. And my audition process, it was basically over the course of, it was from April 2010 to, I forgot to mention this, I actually played Glinda back in 2011, so this is rewinding. So I think between April 2010 to January 2011, between those times, I went in about 8 or 9 times, each time with an increasing number of people behind the table, getting notes, having work sessions, working these songs, going to the Gershwin to run songs, didn't really, I don't think I even had the job at that point. It was a lot. And So yeah, then January 2011, I found out that I got Glinda on the first national tour, which is we call the Emerald City Tour. So I toured with them for about 8 months, and that was an amazing experience. It was also like my first real job, so it was just a lot of learning, you know. It was so thrilling. I then moved to Los Angeles and did some TV and film. And then my heart was like, oh, I miss the stage so much. So I am very fortunate. The timing just worked out. I was able to come back, and I've been performing with this company, this amazing, fabulous company, since December 10th, 2015. So it's been a little over a year.
Yeah, great. Jessica.
I'm also new to Wicked. I joined in September as Elphaba, and it was honestly the fastest audition experience I might have ever had.
Wow.
I was, at the time, over the summer, I was in Fiddler on the Roof on Broadway. And I played Fruma Sarah, who is a ghost. For those of you who know Fiddler, so she's angry. and she's an angry dead lady. And part of the show, so you know, it also happened to be cast by Telsey. You will find that, like, as you further yourself in this business, like, it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So it was also cast by.
Be nice to everyone.
Be nice to everyone, including everybody from, like, the ushers to to people who are clean. Everybody. Just be nice to everybody.
Yeah.
So at the time, I was doing Fruma Sarah, and they had me up in this, like, big 15-foot tower, and they would wheel me on stage as I was, like, screaming. And so I love social media, and I happen to hashtag myself at the time as Dead Elphaba because she belts her face off. And so I don't know. I think somebody from Telsey thought that was funny, but they've known for a while that I'm a belter, and they brought me in June of 2016 for Lisa, who's the associate director, and she does a lot of the audition process. And I went in for her once or twice, and got the news that I had booked Elphaba, which I didn't believe them at the time. It was one of those things where they were like, "You booked Elphaba," and I was like, "I hate you," you know. And it just so happens the amount of time, you know, you have to give notice if you're leaving a Broadway show. We were still running at the time. You have to give 4 weeks notice, and it just so happened that my last show of Fiddler was on a Sunday. I flew out on a Monday, and I started this on a Tuesday. So it's been a wacky and wild process.
Yeah.
I am so incredibly grateful. This is my first time leading a company, getting to, like, co-lead a company with someone, and it's probably the hardest thing I will have ever done.
Why?
Physically, oh my gosh. I mean,
You're never off stage.
I would say 2.5 to 3 minutes out of 3 hours I'm off stage.
Yeah.
It's very physical, and it's extremely vocally challenging. Yeah. But to do those things at the same time it takes, like, I would say it took me like 6 weeks of conditioning myself to really not feel like I was going to die.
Yeah. And I'm going to come back and I want to talk to you guys about this because it's huge. Yeah, how you do
so
this and
grateful
maintain it. Yeah.
to be here.
And especially on the road, it's a completely different thing than when you're sitting down. Good.
Oh yeah.
I had a totally different experience. Speaking of being nice to everybody, because you never know, I just got offered this part. I did an audition. I'd never been in for it ever.
That's the way this always happens in the business.
This never happens. And in fact, it was really funny because I had just gotten through with having this conversation with my manager where I had gone in for a regional show, you know, a show not in, like, New York. Like, it was like a summer run of something, had auditioned a couple times and didn't get it. And I was like, you know, I've now been on Broadway a couple of times. I've done some television. Like, will there ever come a day when people just say, you know what, we trust you. Like, you can just have the part. You don't have to jump through hoops. And he's like, you know what, that just doesn't really happen anymore. Days later, this all came out. And it's because, I mean, first of all, I'm playing Bach, which is not Hamlet. You know what I mean? Like, it's a great little part, but it's a little part. And everyone involved sort of just knew that I could handle it and knew that I was right for it because over the years and years of auditioning for people and doing good work and hopefully being nice to people, I got to know the casting people at Telsey very well. I got to know Stephen Schwartz just socially. I got to know Joe Mantello just socially. And so, I guess I was just in their file of like guys that are shorter than a certain height who can do this, and they were kind enough to just trust me with it. I had just moved back to Los Angeles. I split my time sort of, but LA I really kind of prefer, sorry to say to East Coasters. And I'd just gotten back, and I was so excited to live in my house and play with my cat. And then like 2 weeks later, this call came in, and I was like, well, I gotta go, it's Wicked, and here I am.
Great. I saw the show originally when it was on Broadway, and I think this is probably the first tour that I've seen in a while, and it's changed so much. And I thought also I couldn't not think of it after the election that we just had. And so many parallels. Have people been talking about that? So what are some of the thoughts that conversations that you've been having? Because I just couldn't stop all the parallels that are going on.
Well, not to put it too fine a point on it, but I think it's pretty clear, just even from the overall message of the play, that it's an exploration of the forces of good and evil. And then within that, I think audiences will come away with a lot of subtext, and there's definitely a social and a political vibe in it. It's
That I knew a little bit, but I didn't realize it. Or have other people been saying? You guys talk.
I had an experience. My first city was in East Lansing, and some friends of friends came to see me in my first week, and they're the kinds of people, they were coming because they know my mom, and they knew I was doing a show about Oz, and you know what I mean? They're not the kind of people that like see a lot of theater, see a lot of musicals, and they don't really get, how shows work per se. And so I was showing them around Backstage, and they said like, oh, and so you guys must have like updated the script after the election, right? And I was like, oh no, like this script was written in 2003, like it's, it's about, there's a lot of things that it's about, but the political subplots in the play are really sort of about the classic ways that, I hate to even say the word out loud, like fascism comes about. And so I think if people draw parallels between now and then, it says more about like current history than it says about the play. The play is the play that it's always been, and we're showcasing these sort of classic methods that certain people use to rise to power, and if you're seeing that currently, then something to think about.
Well, there's a reason that some shows last as long as they do. I think Wicked is a very good example. I mean, Wicked was written back in a very political time as well. And
The book or the musical?
I believe the musical was right after Bush.
Yes.
Yeah? But nevertheless, I mean, there's something that's relatable in Wicked to everyone, I think, no matter what time period you've seen it, because it's been running for so long now. And there's so many different companies internationally that I think, like what Andy was saying, if you take something political from it, I mean, we were in Michigan during the election, and we had a show the night after the election, and that was a really
Tough.
It was tough. It was a really interesting show. It was very very emotional and very, I mean, I know I can speak for myself that I got very emotional in places that I normally wouldn't, because as actors, I think sometimes we tap into certain things every different show to keep it, for myself, fresh. And at that time, it was so incredible that we happened to be in, outside of where we live, and we get to see the landscape of the United States, and we had traveled in very many places before we had gotten to Michigan to see sort of how political.
And Michigan,
United
of all
States is.
places.
Yes. And so it's a fascinating show that way when you watch it, because you can take in, very many themes, political themes and socio, economical, all of these different things that you can, as the viewer, sit and sort of scratch your head at. And I think that's why people see it so many times. They get something different from it every time.
I love the humanity in the story. I just think it's so relevant, especially now, but always. I think it's a story about friendship and forgiveness, and I think it's about seeing, I think that we as humans tend to polarize a lot, and what I love about the story, especially between Glinda and Elphaba, is that they are two women that are, they come to realize that there's more that brings them together than that separates them. So I think that's a beautiful reflection, personally.
How do you guys prepare for the show? What's a typical day like when you're on tour in different towns and that kind of stuff? I mean, it's going to be different typical days when you're like putting in and that kind of stuff, but after you've been here now, how long have you been in DC now?
Almost a month.
This is our 4th week.
Yeah,
3.5 weeks.
and this is probably one of your longest sit-downs, right? Yeah, so when you're on a less sit-down, what's it like for you guys? Do you get up? Do you go to classes? Do you work out? Do you do vocal preparation?
Oh, yeah.
How do you stay healthy?
Yeah, I mean, if I don't do something physical, then the physicality of Elphaba will probably kill me. So like I'm a big fan of like yoga and you know, doing like a small workout. I mean, Elphaba is a workout.
Yeah.
I will say that. Vocally, the show is such a big sing for me that I don't warm up too much. I kind of do a few things in my dressing room an hour before the show, and then I just sort of like ease myself in as the show goes on. But it's hard. Actor life is weird. Like you get done with the show, it's about 3 hours running time, and like for me, I'm always like, I get to the theater by half hour and I'm like, I'm so tired. And then the show's over and I'm like, okay. Like I for some reason, just like my body does that. I get back home and I can't.
It's your adrenaline.
I can't, right. I can't go right to sleep. I need to watch some Breaking Bad or like 2 hours of something. Like I just need to keep my brain, I don't know why, I just can't turn it off. I have my dog with me on tour, thank goodness.
Fred.
Little Fred. He keeps me sane. I really think he does. He like forces me to live in the moment instead of going home and being like, what did I say in that one scene? It's, you know, because this is what we do. And also health is such a major, major part of this. We travel airplane or train or automobile. There are a lot of germs. I have gotten like onto the kicks of like B12 and you know drops of D3 and my multivitamin and this and that and you know that's probably half of my day.
Yeah.
It's just making sure that I'm keeping up on my immune system.
Important.
I'm a big fan of steaming. Anybody heard of steaming? Personal steaming, basically. It's like really good for your cords and super relaxing. That's kind of my post-show like wind down. Same thing with Jess. I'm like not ready to go to bed right after the show. But yeah, it's fun to explore the different cities, and we get recommendations on the best restaurants and like fun things to do. But it's definitely finding that balance because what we do at night is so high octane that like to compensate, during the day you just have to kind of lay a little bit low. So also sleep is really important just to restore the body and everything. So try to get as much as possible.
I don't know how familiar this audience is with the actual, what it requires to do something on stage, but even the most minimal stage production is an athletic event for an actor. So in this particular play, you'll see, those of you who haven't seen it, will see marathon running by these two. And we do some lifting, some sprinting. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So, but it requires good nutrition. This is even without the touring part. Good nutrition, paying attention to your body, paying attention to every part of your body, and wonderful physical therapy. And then with the tour thing, since I'm new to it, I'm starting to get the ropes and realizing, you really do have to recalibrate yourself for wherever you happen to be. I don't know. Do you have any insight into that? Because have you ever toured before?
I toured
Andy?
once before, maybe like 7 or 8 years ago. I actually came here to the Eisenhower, the smaller space with Spring Awakening. That was the last tour I did, and I was a very different like age, and it was one of my first jobs, and so I was probably not doing it right back then. But it's true, yeah. You like every new space is it's a new production, really. You know, it's a new venue. You have to adjust the scale of your performance and
Your voice reacts differently
Uh-huh.
to wherever you are. Climate. Like
Ooh.
I drink. I want to say this sounds nuts, but I drink every show 5 liters of water. A show. I don't know how I haven't
Liters,
drowned.
that's so European of you.
It's
so
very,
metric.
very European. And every city I go to, I try and get local honey from that town,
Yes.
which will help immensely with my allergies or if I'm feeling a little wonky vocally. But it differs. Every theater that you're in is so different climate-wise. And we
I
have
have bee people here. I will turn you on before you leave. Yeah.
right.
3 of my good friends are bee people. Yes.
Yeah, I remember when we were in Michigan, it was maybe like 2% humidity. It was so dry. And those are the things, this is my first time touring ever. So my brain was like, I don't understand how to do this, right? And we go to Florida next, so praise.
Great.
Yes, School Cinema sounds so good. But it's those little things that you don't, I would never think about it when I'm doing a sit down, like Fiddler. I'm at the same theater every single day. I have my dressing room and my, isms.
Yep.
Here we get to set up shop and set up our dressing rooms and all of our things, but it is those little things that are out of our control, where all of my voodoo of like local honey and this, I'm apple cider vinegar, major user of apple cider vinegar.
I always think touring is great, especially when you're young and but if you enjoy touring, you can do it. You really want the business. If you don't enjoy touring, it's kind of rough.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Jess and I are huge fans of spas. I think you guys are too. We love a spa, and it really helps us. Personally, I like when we do the travel day, I like the day after to do some kind of treatment. I mean, it's such a blessing to be able to do it. But just for me, like any kind of massage, it just erases the travel, and that helps kind of realign your body. And
We have our costumes are 40 pounds.
yeah, they're big gowns.
Which I didn't know that going in. I was like, that black dress is gorgeous. But it's like 40 pounds. My parents came in Connecticut and my mom was like, what is this? I mean, she like picked it up and was like, I cannot wear that,
Yeah.
It's
That's
wild.
40 pounds. That's
wild,
like
and
a small child.
It is.
Yeah.
I am carrying a small child.
Yeah.
But you realize it, you start to realize it a couple weeks into the show, like, my back is feeling weird, or like, I wonder why my legs or my feet hurt. I'm like, oh, it's because I'm in heels and I'm in a 40-pound dress.
Yeah.
Same thing with the bubble dress. It's like, these are all little factors that I never thought about in finance. I mean,
But once again, why it's a sport along with the performances that you all are doing.
it's super athletic.
Yeah. What are the favorite, and I'm going to open it up to you guys, so if you have questions, we have a couple of mics here, I believe, on the side. Where are the mics? Oh, they'll be coming to you. So
there they are.
if you have a question, put up your hands. And then what are your favorite parts to perform of the show, and what's your favorite part to watch? So you can, either ones, because a lot of times you're able to watch stuff, and you go, oh, I love watching this, or to perform.
Well, I have
Andy,
a
you went
confession.
crazy,
I don't know if you know. You probably know because you've seen me over there. But I watched The Wizard and I, and thank goodness, like her first big song and her big song in Act 2 every night. I'm always watching in the wing, always.
And can you do it if asked?
I'm sorry?
Could you perform it if asked?
Oh,
I won't ask you to see. Oh, good. Yeah.
I'm ready
It's
to go
always
on.
the best thing is going backstage and watching all the other performers perform the other parts. Who else?
Yeah. So I love to watch that because I just soak up your energy and it makes me excited to then like make my entrance. My favorite part to do is like the whole courtyard scene with Dancing Through Life. Like it's a whole big sequence because I get to play with every single person in the cast pretty much at some point. That's my fave.
Great. Who else?
I wish I got to watch some things. I really do. Sometimes I get to see a little bit of the end of Thank Goodness, which I love and adore because it's, the costumes in these shows, you guys. It's like ridiculous. It's going to sound cliche, but Defying Gravity is pretty badass to do. It's extremely cathartic, A, as a performer, and B, also as a woman. And it is extremely powerful, kind of like, no matter...
I'm sorry, do you have a problem with heights?
Clearly, no.
Oh, right. And also,
I don't know.
But I was saying also with Fiddler.
I think it helped me in Fiddler.
Yeah.
In Fiddler, I had a guy underneath this thing pushing me, so like every now and then he might trip on his ankle, and maybe
Yeah.
I thank him now.
Yeah.
Because I'm not so scared of heights. But this is also extremely, Wicked is wonderful about safety,
yeah.
and they're phenomenal, and it's very smooth. But you get up there, and it's like,
Yeah.
you're singing this power ballad about coming into your own as a person.
With an amazing orchestra.
With an amazing orchestra, and this is like a life thing. Like maybe we haven't had these moments in life yet, or maybe we have, of like that cathartic moment of like, I know who I am now, and that's that, you know.
Yeah.
So that's I have to say I love doing that every time.
So thrilling.
So fun to watch. Questions, if you have one, and
Come to me.
yep.
Hi, guys. I'm actually a community theater performer here in Washington area.
Amazing.
Dana Roberts. So I just did Oliver this past summer. What is your favorite part of being in Wicked, and what's your least favorite part of being in Wicked?
Thank you. We'll take one for that.
There's so many favorite parts. The first thing that came to my mind was, oh my gosh, there's so many things. The story is just amazing. The other thing that came to my mind was the fans. We have the best fans ever. It's so cool.
What are they called? Do they have names?
They have all kinds of different names.
Aussians.
They felt like the Aussians, yes. Yes, some of Jessica's fans are called the Voskians. Yes, and so we have just such a loving, amazing, dedicated, like supportive community of fans. So that's really special. And it says a lot about the show too, that there are so many people that are crazy about it. So that's really cool to be part of. Yeah.
And the music and the orchestrations.
Yeah.
It's like a film score. But it's live. And live musicians, there's nothing like it. That makes you
Now, when you do it, were you able to have a Sitzprobe, or?
No.
Oh, no, yeah, so that's always so
I don't know
exciting.
about you, Isabel, but when we came into the company, our conductor invited us to sit in the pit for a
Exactly.
performance and sort of watch
Very
and
cool.
hear everything. Because there's some things, it's just impossible to hear all the details that are in there, you know, through the system. So I heard things that I've never heard before.
It's lush.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Next question. I think the lady right there, perfect.
Hi, I'm Delaney Reiser. I'm currently studying to be a stage manager, and as you all know, there's so many parts of theater, like the lights, the sounds, the projections, the costumes, and I was wondering, what are you guys' like favorite parts of the technical side of theater?
That's a good question.
Good question. And the next person, if you write your question, just come on over. You can line up behind. Great, you can just come right up and line up behind. There we go, good.
My
Okay.
favorite part is the ASL interpreting. I did a show last year on Broadway in LA, and then on Broadway another production of Spring Awakening with
Was that with Deaf West?
With Deaf West, this company called Deaf West that creates theater for deaf and hearing audiences. So I learned to sign. I'm not fluent yet by any means. I'm maybe like 30-40%, but I totally fell in love with it. So now, when we have interpreters, I'm completely obsessed with watching them, because it's such a huge job that you don't even realize. Like, they're not just like listening to what's going on and interpreting it. Like, ASL is it's not English with your hands, it's its own language. So they've interpreted the entire play into a different, they've translated it, and in most cases memorized it, and then have to perform it because ASL is in your face as well as your hands. And I think the interpreters here in DC are some of the best I've ever seen. And it's just amazing in every city to watch what they do. How do you translate? Think of it as personality dialysis. You know what I mean? Like, it's fascinating.
Yeah,
so
that's
that's my
so good.
favorite.
It'll be tough signing the rap songs in the show.
Yes.
Next question here.
Hi. Do you have any dream roles?
I think we're all playing one of our dream roles
Yes,
in this
I
show.
didn't know it, but this is one of them. Yes. Mary Tyrone.
Yeah.
Funny girl.
And since I'm a little older and Isabel's much younger, and I saw her when she was younger on Broadway doing The Boy from Oz. Anyone see her in The Boy from Oz? She did a Judy Garland that just knocked your socks off. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Which I just have to pause for a second and say, I've come full circle, back to Oz.
That's
Yeah,
right.
The Boy
Oh
from
my
Oz.
gosh, so funny.
Yeah. Next.
Hi. Do you guys do any fun things to,
girl.
Hi.
What's your name?
My name is Maeve.
Hi, Maeve.
Hi. To develop your characters, especially considering that, putting a bit of your own personality into each character, and just generally think about your characters.
Such a good question. Actually, so many exercises that when I was doing them in college, I was like, this is some weird funky thing that I'm doing. Like, I have a mask on and I'm like being the color blue, or like you know, acting like a African wild dog, like as an acting exercise, you know. All of those things like really inform and help me sometimes. I like randomly draw from things in my education, so it's kind of fun for me to like pull from.
Yeah. I don't know. Elphaba's pretty complex. And, you know, because Wicked has been around for so long, I think a lot of people have an idea of what those characters are. So we kind of come into this show with a knowledge of the fact that there have been so many people before us who have played these roles. And while there is something to keeping the skeleton of who Elphaba is there, I think what I have loved to do is make it my own in a few different ways, add a little bit of sass in some places and some humor elsewhere, you know, just because I'm a big believer in bringing something of yourself and your heart to the role that you're playing.
And I think with good casting directors and good directors, they also cast you because of that.
Yes.
They realize, oh, we see these attributes from them. Oh, and then
Yeah.
we make, because I loved everything that you guys did on stage, but the relationship that you guys have, that was brand new to me. It was just brand new to me, the stuff that you guys were doing. Thank you. Ladies.
Hi, I'm Maya, and
Hi, Maya. How old are you, Maya?
9.
9. Wonderful.
I know you guys love yourselves and you love each other, and I hope. But who is your favorite character in Wicked besides yourself or each other?
Oh, good. And are you going to be an actress when you grow up, or
Yeah.
are you already?
I just performed in Oliver at Piper Theater.
And were you Nancy?
Congratulations.
No,
Okay.
I was an orphan.
Well, I have to say, you know, there are a lot of characters that everyone is aware of because we each have a name, but we have the most magnificent ensemble that actually has, each of them has filled out very different and several characters. That's why it feels like there are 200 people sometimes on stage, because it's a magnificent group of ensemble members. So I have to bow before them.
Absolutely. My first answer was going to be Rufus the Rat. You guys, he's played by Michael Drolet, who's one of the most committed actors I've ever been on stage with, and it's so cool. So just like Isabel was saying, there's many facets to bringing the show to life. So many characters. Yeah.
Good. I'll take the next question.
Hi, I'm Anastasia.
Hi, Anastasia. How old are you?
I'm 13.
Wonderful. And are you a performer also?
I am.
Good.
I was
And
wondering.
I'm sorry, what was your last role?
I just did Little Mermaid,
Oh, good.
so that was fun.
Wonderful.
I was wondering, as on tour, how do you adapt to changing the different theaters? Is there anything you have to like change between the sets and the lighting and stuff like that?
Well, our scenic design, go ahead. The scenic design travels with us, but here's something that I can tell you that I've experienced as a newcomer to touring. Each house, each theater is radically different, and the one that we came from Wallingford, which is a wonderful theater, the Oakdale Theater in Wallingford, Connecticut, was a natural proscenium stage and an unnatural house of 4,000 or 5,000 people, so they closed off a couple of sections. And so what we're used to as performers is we are used to the communication between, that's the thing about live theater, communication between ourselves as live actors and live musicians with an audience of live people. So we put something out there and you get a visceral reaction, whether it's silence or laughter. And so in Wallingford, for me personally, we would say something or do something, and you just didn't feel anything because it was about a football field away before you even had people. And I think there's still some laughs rolling in now.
Weeks later.
Weeks later. But anyway, somebody else can speak maybe to the plant, the physical plant. We travel with 13 trucks, and the amazing crew magically.
Our backstage area, you know, there's a lot of choreography that happens backstage. I like to say more than happens on stage. because you are clearly, you have a path backstage and there's a place for everything.
Right.
And our crew is phenomenal because no matter where we are, no matter what theater we're in, everything is the same.
And you guys have a lot of quick changes in the show, don't you?
Quite.
Yeah.
But everything, I mean, like, they have it, this is well-oiled,
It's choreography.
finely tuned, you know, where everything is placed. I mean, it is one of the best companies I've ever worked for in that respect. So everything for us in the physical respect is kind of the same, at least. So we feel, I know I feel a little bit more at home.
And it goes back to the lady who asked the stage management question. Depending on how the stage management company is, depends on how your tour is going to be.
Yes, 100%.
And you just want to have the best stage managers for that kind of stuff
Absolutely,
because people stay healthy, it's a good room, no one gets hurt.
Yeah.
Great.
Definitely.
Next.
you.
How do you hold the note for so long in Defying Gravity?
Okay. And while you're thinking about that, first of all, what's your name and how old are you?
Spencer and I'm 8.
Good. And are you in performing, Spencer?
No, my brother is.
Okay, good. You're a supporter. Good. All right.
Well, that's such a great question, Spencer. I was trained vocally when I was younger. I was trained classically, and even though most of what I do now is what they would call like contemporary musical theater or belting, where you hear me hold out a note for a really long time, I would say I learned a lot of that, which all comes from breathing, which sounds so simple. But when you are trained, at least the way I was classically trained, I learned how to breathe very, very smartly, so that if I take air in to my diaphragm and I push that air out when I sing, it's very supported. So even though I'm standing, you know, and up in the air, I still rely 100% on the classical training that I had. And sometimes, you know, because it's such a big song, like it's very heavily belted, but I also believe in a very healthy mix, which
Good.
is...
Jessica, thank you. We have a lot of young folks in the audience, and we hear belt, right? And I would say it's a mix. I think back in the day, but you really mix everything.
Yes.
Can you talk about that? And probably for both you ladies, I'm not sure, Isabel, if you're mixing in this because you don't have the high and low, but can you talk about that? Because when I hear belting, I have young ladies that come to me and they are belting, and then they can't do 8 shows.
Yeah.
Can you say what a mix is?
Yeah. And this is kind of like your question too, Spencer. So when you learn how to sing, and let's say you're like warming up, and you are warming up in your low register, and you are warming up in half steps all the way up to your high register, there's usually what they call a break or somewhere in between there, which is your mix. And there's a way, if you have been and had any training, which I always say, like, go get you some training, because it's so important, and never stop training. My vocal coach, who I've been with since I was 15, came out to see the tour, and I swear by him. But I keep almost everything in a mix, but it sounds like I'm really belting to the heavens.
Yeah. I want to destroy that word belt anymore.
Yeah, belting
and
is
get
hard because we
everyone
think
going
like
to mix.
Ethel Merman, Patti LuPone, you know, those glory days of like the Evitas and the Gypsies and all
they didn't
that
have
kind of
training.
stuff. Right, and like
They were just
but,
belting
you
it
know,
out.
sometimes that can be really unsafe if you're trying to do 8 shows a week,
Yep.
with a role where you're singing like, I don't know, I sing maybe 13 songs or something like that, and I always want to be as healthy as I possibly can vocally, because I would still like to sing after this experience. But with this show specifically, I think it's 100% you're able to do it in a healthy way.
Yeah. Good.
And it all depends on your body, but mixing is a plus
Yeah.
to the mix.
Thank
I
you.
love a mix.
Thank you, Spencer.
Thank you,
Next
Spencer.
young lady.
Hi, my name is Ruth McCoy. I'm 14, and I'm definitely into performing. So I was wondering what tips you had for people that are my age who want to pursue performing, and also what is Telsey and how would one spell it?
Good question. We can tell you that.
Telsey is a casting office. So the way that casting works generally in the theater is that there are these offices. A show, Wicked, the show, says, "Ooh, we need a new Bach." They Telsey is the company that they have hired to cast the show. So they go to Telsey. Because meanwhile, Telsey is casting a bunch of shows. And in those shows, you know, Wicked's never seen me before, but Telsey saw me in for, you know, some play or some other musical. You know, they saw me for Spring Awakening, whatever. So they're like, oh, the description of Bach is like this short little sweet little guy who can sing this note and this note. Andy can do that. So like we should send them Andy's information, and then Wicked says like, oh yeah, we'd like to see him or whatever. It moves on from there. So they're a casting office, and they are, I would say, one of the top in New York. They really cast a lot of shows. I'm sure a lot of shows that you've seen Telsey's cast. If you look in your playbill, the casting director is always listed out with the creatives sort of after the cast. So you can start to like track those names and see who casts what. And it's Telsey.
And to answer your question of also just getting involved, if you're pursuing this, I think it's getting involved locally with what is at your school or what is in your community. Just getting as much experience on stage as you can, having so much fun with it, knowing that every single person has a different path. You know, you heard all of our origin stories. We all come from really different backgrounds. And with everything you bring yourself to, I think just knowing that you are the only you, and that is so special. So no one else can play the role like you play the role. So just bringing as much of yourself, as much of your truth, your joy, your pain, your understanding of life, and your person to whatever role you're doing. And I think that is a good direction to start in. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Jade. I'm 13, and I honestly just want to know how long does it take to get the green off?
Great question.
Darling, it's never off completely. No, so green on 30 minutes, green off. I want to say I do a really great job now of what, like 15, 20 minutes?
It is fast.
Yet I've gone to a grocery store after the show and had somebody be like, "Are you sick?" Because it stays. I find green everywhere, and I only get painted on my arms, my face, and my chest. But there'll be some on my toe, and it's like, how did that get there? So I'm green all the time, but I've accepted this. But if after the show, I will as quickly as I can. There's special soaps, and I'm a huge believer of coconut oil to get it all off. My process is 20 minutes.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Emily Graham, and I was wondering, I don't know how many of you have done both TV and musicals on stage, but what's the hardest thing going back and forth between the two?
Ooh. I would say, for me, the hardest thing, I don't think the acting style is really all that different other than scale. Like, if I'm on stage, I have to talk like this so you can hear me. If I'm on TV, I can whisper. Like, it's fine. But really, I think that like acting is acting. It should feel the same. It should feel just truthful and natural no matter what. I think that there's this weird thing, and I actually think the walls are breaking down on this, luckily, as musicals are becoming, and theater is becoming exciting and mainstream again, and you know the sort of general populace is getting excited about it, but there's this stigma where people pigeonhole actors in both directions, that like, oh, that's a TV actor, like she can't do a musical. I saw Emma Stone in Cabaret. It was like one of the most thrilling performances I've ever seen. Emma Stone, come on.
Watch out for La La Land.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then, you know, but you'll get sent in for TV and they won't even let you audition because they see that you have like Broadway musicals, and so they just assume that you're a big like body stage actor and you can't like be natural. So overcoming like stigma to just get in the room and break out of a shell, I think that's the biggest challenge for me. Any other?
Good. We have just 2 more minutes before we have to wrap it up, so we'll get more questions.
Hi, my name's Emily, and I was wondering if you guys have any funny audition or backstage stories.
Oh my gosh.
There's a funny backstage story for every single day of the week.
Yes.
Well, before I get born in Wicked, I literally cross backstage, and Madame Marble is on the side of the stage, and we literally speak to each other in an Australian accent for 3 minutes. Why? I don't know. But yeah, she interviews me with her necklace. I'm not kidding. Every time.
Gosh.
Like there's these little things that you just do every night. I can't tell you how many like mess ups I've had. Like I've totally tripped and fallen and tried to play it off like it was what it was supposed to be on stage. But like that's the blessing of live theater, I guess. It's like you just roll with it. And the same thing happens in the audition room. Like I've kicked my shoes off before and hit somebody. I mean, like it's just what it is. So I mean, but you just roll with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always fun though. That's the best part. Is everybody here is so fun and really game to have fun.
And we'll have this final last question. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Camille Pavetta, and Wicked is actually the show that got me into theater in 3rd grade, I think. Yeah. And I want to know, do you have any pre-show rituals that you do every night?
I always say when you come to work, there's a sign-in sheet so they know all the actors are there, so they don't start the show without anybody, and they'll know everyone's on time. You have to initial next to your name to say like, oh, I'm here. And I always just sort of like whisper a little like gratitude into the air when I sign in. That's my little ritual.
Special. I have a little bubble, like a pre-show bubble ritual, because I'm up. Oh, well, you'll see it. But anyway, I start the show and I'm like up by myself, like 35 feet up in the air. And yeah, like that, I say a little prayer, gratitude, just being really thankful for being there. Of course, all the warming up stuff, but just important to take a second to be super grateful.
Besides my Australian moment with this lovely lady right here, but before I come out and everybody's like doing the opening number, which I happen to not be in, nobody knows this because. Are you in the opening number?
No.
Oh, duh. And so, hi, welcome to theater.
You could be. Saunter
When
across.
everybody's on stage in the opening number, and like right before I come on, like I literally do the opening number with them to warm myself up, and like but I just do like funny choreography in the back by myself. But nobody knows that but surprise.
You love knowing this.
But it's literally every night I do the same thing because I'm like, if I don't do it, something will happen. Like now I'm.
Yeah.
Now I'm like that.
And I think we have a Facebook question.
Oh.
We don't have a Facebook question. Since we got to the last question, I just wanted to share with you some sentiments that were expressed on Facebook that we share here.
Wonderful.
The ensemble in Wicked is so amazing. I so enjoyed attending. Great cast. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Vanessa. Well, I want to thank Isabel, Amanda. No.
Yes.
Okay, get Jessica, Andy, since I just met them a little bit before, but I feel like I know so much about you and the show. Wonderful audience. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience and for all the people that were brave enough to get up and ask your questions for us. If you haven't seen this show, make sure you see it, I'm sure, or you wouldn't be here also. It's a wonderful show. Enjoy the rest of your time here in DC. I'm going to have to walk them out because they have to eat and then get into costume and get downstage. But if you'd like to see them after the show, please stay after the show and they'll sign autograph or pictures for you. Okay? Awesome. So thank you, everybody, and thank you to the Kennedy Center.